Hello, good morning. My name is Benedict. I am an artist. I am a potter. I paint. I am also a textile designer. And today I am here with SquareRoot Studio, where we'll be going through the process of making a flower vase portrait piece. So before we really start, I would like to give us a little introduction to what pottery is all about. In simple terms, we can say that pottery is all about molding and creating beautiful pieces with clay. Pottery is more than just molding and making forms with clay. Pottery extends to using clay as a medium, as a means of expressing yourself, also as a means of passing information to the general public. Clay serves as a medium where we can express and pass our parts, also use it as a means to tell stories, and also use it as a means to also document histories, document informations about the society and about humans at large. We are going to be going through the practical aspect of the pottery making now. We have with us here today our clay, which would be used for the flower vase creation, and we have our rolling pin, we have our spatulas that are used for modeling, we have our ruler for measurement, and we also have our slip. A slip is a mixture of clay and water. It is used to gum two separate clay pieces together. That is what a slip is all about. We also have our foam here for cleaning, for also brushing every part that you want to brush. That is what the foam is all about. So we have different techniques that we can use to approach making a flower vase. The first technique that is popularly known is the one they call the wheeling technique. That is the one that we use a wheel, you throw your clay with, and then you form any shape of your own choice. We also have the second technique called the coiling technique. This other technique here involves or require you to roll your clay into strands and then use it to create any form or any shape of your own choice. We also have the third technique that is called the pinching technique. This technique here requires you to hold your bowl of clay in your hand, pinch it into any shape or size of your own choice, and then form any shape of your own choice. We also have the final technique that is called the slab technique. Now this technique here requires you to cut your clay into different segments. You will use your rolling pin to roll the clay, and you have a flat surface clay. When the clay is flat enough, you then use your different spatulas to start cutting your clay into different parts and different forms, and then you start molding or building up whatever you want to create. So these are the four basic techniques that we have that we can use to actually create a portrait, or a portrait piece rather. But for today's session, we are going to be focusing more on the coiling technique, which are going to use to achieve our piece, and then we're also going to incorporate the slab technique, which are going to use to finish our work with. So now let's begin. So this is our clay cutter. It's simply a wire strand. So first of all, massage your clay. Make sure you have it evenly all over. And then for the technique that we intend to use today, we still are working with coiling technique. So this is how to start a coiling technique. So you roll your clay on your table. Gradually, it will start expanding. Gradually, it will start expanding. As it grows and expands, you start using your both hands. So while working with this technique, you don't apply too much pressure to the clay. You gently roll the clay on the table, and as you roll, the clay expand. So you can roll the clay to get any desired size of your own choice. It can be smaller than this, it can be bigger than this, depending on the size that you really want to have. That is where you stop. So this is the desired size that we want for today's session. So we're going to stop rolling now and then proceed to the next phase. The first is for us to get the base of our work. So you give it a little slide by the corner. This is to help join these separate pieces together. So we have this both sides now that will come together this way. So what we do is we now use our slip that serves as an adhesive. You put it at this side here, then bring the both clay together now and stick them together. Give it a little smoothing so there will be no demarcation between the two. So now we have this as our base. Now we use the rolling technique now to get the base of the flower vase. The thickness of the clay is totally dependent on what the artist wants. So you measure and cut it out. Use this as a cutter. You gently follow the line. And it's out. You remove the excess clay. Then you apply your slip round the base. And we can have it here now. Pick this and put it back. So we continue rolling. So when you are done rolling, you still bend. You add our slip. So we are about to add some artistic designs to our pottery vase now. Let's just see how this goes. So we are going to have these 4 balls as our pillars to hold our next artistic design. But before we move to that, we are going to do something that is going to make the vase to be firm. So what we'll do is we are going to smoothen the inside of this vase. That is to give it strength and durability. So we'll gently smoothen the inside of this vase this way. After that, you smoothen to give it a good and perfect finishing. So after this phase, we still make strands of these smaller sizes to wrap it around these our patterns, just to make sure that the pattern is firm and strong. So it serves like giving it a strong foundation. So we are creating this particular host now so that we can add our pattern now. So these holes are going to serve as a friction between these 2 pieces so that they can be firm and strong. That is why we are creating this particular host right now. So after that, we apply our slip. So we are now adding our pattern now. So where these 2 edges meet, you cut them in an asymmetric pattern so that they can fit evenly. Okay. So we still create more balls. The balls are going to come here so it can give it a balance where the next layer of the slip of the strand can come on top. Okay. So now we start putting the balls gently just in between where we have the spaces here. So after our patterns are done, we now proceed to create more strands. So we are doing the last strand for this verse. Okay, so the next phase that we're about to go into now is for us to form our pottery vase lip. So this design that I want to give the vase right now requires us to use the rolling technique, or you call it the slab technique method. So first of all, we are going to roll our clay. We are going to roll it to a desired shape. So once we have gotten the thickness of our clay, we now proceed to cut the clay. So we would like to give it some design. So we roll more. So we roll until we get our desired thickness. So we are rolling this last one to give it a solid foundation here. So after we are done molding, the next phase is for us to start smoothing. So first of all, you dip your foam in the water, make sure it's soaked. Then you start cleaning and smoothing your piece gently. So smoothing actually takes time. So you have to be patient with the work and take your time to smoothen the work perfectly well. So when we're done with the smoothing, you take it and put it on top of a plank where it's going to be for the next 24 hours without any disturbances. So this is our final piece. This technique that we use to achieve this particular work is called the coiling technique, or you call it the coiling method. Is the work not beautiful? Of course it is. Okay, so this is our final piece, a pottery vase. We are grateful that we are able to achieve this, and I want to thank specifically SquareRoot Studio for having me make this for them.